If you're in the market for the ultimate compact family SUV, it's pretty hard to beat the entire package of the Toyota RAV4. For the past 3 decades, this model has become synonymous and an easy choice for many American families or families all across the world. Now, in addition to building a comfortable SUV, Toyota also has a rich heritage in off-road vehicles. Just think about Toyota's trucks, which they've tried to instill into the RAV4 since the previous generation. Well, for 2026, we are seeing an all-new 6th generation model, and as you can see, this is a comprehensive redesign. We're talking about an updated chassis, upgraded interior with new technology, and an all-electric hybrid lineup. So as you can see this week, we're actually out here in just north of Phoenix, Arizona, because we're getting behind the wheel of the RAV4 Woodland. This is the most off-road capable version, which essentially means we have standard all-terrain tires, a unique look on the outside, and increased ground clearance from its unique suspension. So the big question I want answered, has Toyota managed to successfully create the most off-road capable electrified RAV4 ever? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we start talking about the unique styling of the RAV4 Woodland trim, let's go ahead and talk about what's going on underneath the hood, because the big story with this all-new 6th generation model is the fact that Toyota has gone all in on hybrid tech, just like the recently redesigned Camry. The Woodland trim also offers the plug-in hybrid powertrain for the first time. So the base engine remains the 5th generation of their hybrid Synergy drive, which combines a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder with 3 electric motors. Remember, all-wheel drive is going to be standard on this trim. However, this particular model that I'm showing you is the new plug-in hybrid version, which typically you couldn't get that in the past on the Woodland grade. It has the same combo of the 2.5-liter 4-cylinder with the 3 electric motors. However, the battery pack grows from 1.02 kilowatt hours up to 22.7, which Toyota says is good for up to 49 miles of all-electric range. If you guys go for the SE or XSE, that number improves to 52. And the power figure goes up significantly. So the gas engine delivers 183 horsepower on its own, 172 foot-pounds of torque. The electric motor, however, delivers 201 horsepower on its own and 203 foot-pounds of torque. The total combined figure here is 324 horsepower. So that's nearly 100 more versus the base engine in front-wheel drive configuration. And it also has the same power figure as the performance-oriented GR Sport. Now, it all goes out through an eCVT transmission, which is technically an electronic CVT, not the same type of CVT as you'd find in some competitor cars. And Toyota doesn't claim the 0 to 60 time, but we'll try it out when we get the vehicle out on the road. Fuel economy for this model is rated at 42 in the city, 35 on the highway. When you combine it with its 14.5-gallon fuel tank, the total range for this model with the electric-only portion should be just under 600 miles. So again, this is going to be fantastic if you guys need to go further off the beaten path. You want to use that electric-only to power your campsite, for example. That could be a really nice touch. Top speed, we don't have that final figure. I'd estimate with the all-terrain tires on this model should be around 120-ish miles an hour, and the new RAV can tow more. So if you plan to tow a camper in the back or whatever, it'll tow up to 3,500 pounds, which is near the top of the segment. The Woodland is one of the heaviest trims on the RAV4, however, weighing in at around 4,500 pounds. So kind of keep that in mind. It's almost 100 pounds heavier versus the GR Sport. Now let's go ahead and close up the hood here, which, as you can see, a prop rod still holds up the hood, and talk about the exterior design, which is unique to the Woodland trim. This exterior color is also exclusive to the Woodland. It's called Everest. It's a really beautiful, kind of like, not a darker green, but like a medium, I guess, medium style green. We've seen this color first on the Toyota 4Runner. I actually was hoping Toyota would expand the availability on this color to the core and to the sport models. It's a beautiful color. When the sun hits it, it has this gorgeous metallic fleck. You can see the hood has these new bulges in the hood for the vehicle. The grille is unique to the Woodland trim. You can see it actually has another piece here with some unpainted plastic where the Toyota logo sits here at the front, as opposed to other trims that sit up here on the actual closer to the hood line. You can see the front fascia also has some closed off openings, but some functional openings as well. You have the standard Rigid Industries LED fog lights. This is the only trim to get these unique fog lights. If you want fog lights on other trims, only the limited trim offers another fog light design. And you can see the front splitter has this kind of gray painted plastic area, which tries to look like a skid plate, which, by the way, this car has an extra 0.4 inches of ground clearance for a total of 8.5 inches. However, if you're looking for steel skid plates underneath, Toyota sadly does not include that. I'm wondering if they're going to eventually offer that from the dealer as a dealer accessory. The headlights, you can see these are the cheaper LED headlights. So you have an LED projector for the low and high beam, but the turn signals, as you can see, are incandescent. The light signature when the daytime running lights are on are basically just the low beam projectors on a low intensity. So I don't like how Toyota put the cheaper headlights on the Woodland. I think the upper trims give it a much more distinctive and premium light signature. But let me know in the comment section below if you guys like what Toyota has done here with the Woodland trim. Remember, there was a time for the previous generation where Toyota had an adventure trim for off-roading, they had a TRD off-road, and then they had the Woodland, which was introduced back in 2023. Toyota says they got rid of the TRD off-road because that is more synonymous with their trucks. This continues to ride on a unibody architecture, which, by the way, the TNGA-K architecture has been modified to be slightly stiffer with more structural adhesive. And as you can see, it means the dimensions have basically stayed the same, although the Woodland comes with its own unique styling features to make it a little bit longer. So its overall length is 182 inches long with a 105.9-inch wheelbase. It is around an inch wider than all the other trims, and that's because of the wide fender flares. As you can see, the Woodland also has the unpainted cladding here along the wheel arch trim and along the side sill, but it has a slightly more texturized look to it where it's raised out. That creates that wider effect for the vehicle, which is good because you have these unique wheels and tires. These are an 18-inch wheel that is specific to the Woodland trim. It's kind of got like a graphite gray finish. It's a six-spoke design. Because this is the plug-in hybrid, you have the same 11 or 12.9-inch brake rotor at the front, 12-inch rotor at the back, so it's bigger versus the standard hybrid. These are Dunlop Grand Trek all-terrain tires on a 235 by 65 R18. So it's a nice meaty tire. It certainly looks good along the body lines. This to me looks much better versus Honda's main rival to this, which would be the CR-V Trail Sport. I think Toyota just did a much better job here with making this look a little bit more rugged. I mentioned earlier 8.5 inches of ground clearance, unique suspension tune for this model, but no skid plates, which is a little disappointing. It is still a fully independent suspension. Now, as you can see behind this door right here, you're going to find the charge port. Because this is the plug-in hybrid model, that's how you're going to know it's the plug-in hybrid. And unlike the GR Sport that we showed you guys a full review on, you can see this model is unique because the charge port's on the passenger side, or on the driver's side as opposed to the passenger side, and you have a CCS combo here. So you have the AC plug there. It has an 11 kilowatt onboard charger, which means you can basically charge it from 10 to 100% in around 2.5 hours, so it's an hour quicker versus the 7 kilowatt on charger. And then that CCS combo means this vehicle can go to a level 3 fast charger. It'll accept up to 50 kilowatts and basically go from 10 to 80% in about 35 minutes. I don't necessarily need or think that a plug-in hybrid needs fast charging ability, but it's kind of nice how Toyota gives you that option. But again, keep in mind the SE and the GR Sport have the charge port door on the other side, and they have a slower charger that's on board, and they don't have the CCS combo capability. Now you can see the Woodland also includes these black painted side mirrors with integrated turn signals. It also includes a full 360 camera. The plug-in hybrid Woodland is the only Woodland trim to give you the 360 camera. If you go for the base hybrid, you won't get the 360 camera. I actually think that a black roof would have looked good here, but it's not available on the Woodland. And you can see, looking at these raised roof rails, these are specific to the Woodland, which is going to be good if you plan to put like a tent up here or any kind of, bigger items where you want to take to your campsite. Just a standard size sunroof, no available pano roof on this model. And you can see there's also the Woodland badging there on the roof rails. It just gives it a much more adventurous, rugged look to it. So I think Toyota did a great job, especially when you pair it with the Everscreen exterior color. Now looking at the rear, you can see it's pretty similar to other trim levels of the new generation RAV4. This is the same size spoiler you're going to find on some of the core trims with an integrated third brake light. The rear wiper sits here at the lower part of the glass, and then you can see the RAV4 badges in bright silver with the black accented Toyota badge there, which really is really small. You can see the PHEV badge there, lets everybody know it's a plug-in. There's an all-wheel drive badge there, and then of course there's the Woodland badge here to let people know that this is the more rugged version. You can see the rear bumper also has some unique trim. Lots of silver painted plastic here, which tries to look like, I guess, a skid plate garnish. You can see this trim also comes with Toyota's tow hitch, or it's their activity mount technically, which actually has some, I guess, tow hooks right there, which is a nice touch. Remember, this model can tow up to 3,500 pounds. This feature is standard on the Woodland grade, which I think owners are going to really appreciate because you're probably going to want that if you are going for this trim. Now, a power liftgate is also included. As you can see, that's standard equipment on this model. And because this is the plug-in hybrid, you do have to deal with a little bit less cargo space. The battery technically lines the midsection of the vehicle, but as you can see, it includes these rugged floor mats back here, this rubberized cargo mat. And if I look underneath here, there is still a temporary spare tire, although it's not a full-size spare. It's nice that Toyota at least gives you that. I don't think the new CR-V Trail Sport offers a temporary spare tire. You can see the floor is a little bit raised up. You get around 33.6 cubic feet of space. And then when you fold down the seats, you can see you have to kind of reach in and do so. It expands the cargo to 63.6 cubic feet of space. So you lose around 6 cubic feet of maximum cargo compared to the regular hybrid, but this is still a very practical place to spend time. And you also still have a relatively flat floor. So if you want to go camping, you want to put like an airbed in there, you can still certainly do so. Now on the outside of the RAV4 Woodland, clearly Toyota has given it some unique styling, but on the inside you can also see some unique touches here that make this model a little bit more interesting. First of all, this color combination of the Everest green is complemented by this mineral gray Softex. You can see all the Woodland trims either offer the gray or the black Softex, which includes some contrast orange stitching and piping. These seats are a lot different versus the sport grades that I showed you guys in our other reviews, where you have a lot less bolstering. The seats themselves, you can see, are not perforated because the Woodland sadly does not offer a ventilated seat function, but you do have 3-level heated seats. The driver's seat has an 8-way power adjustable with 2-way lumbar, but no memory seats. The passenger also has just a manual seat design. So the one thing I want Toyota to offer are just more interior colors, because this green would look fantastic if they would offer like a brown interior. So perhaps that's something they'll offer later on. Now, as you get inside the vehicle with 8.5 inches of ground clearance, it has a nice, easy step-in height. And then as I shut the door has a little bit more of a tinnier sound. Remember, the GR Sport had more structural adhesive and bracing to give it more of that, more solid sounding thunk that I much prefer with these newer vehicles. Now, getting inside, you can see the key fob. This is Toyota's latest Intelligent Access key, which is standard on all the Woodland trims. You can see it has the RAV4 badge there, if I can hold the key up. And you have your typical buttons here for lock, unlock, power liftgate, and then a panic function. I like the fact that this key is also a pretty nice size. The start-stop button is here, which is sort of blocked by the steering wheel, but because this is only as a hybrid, when you start it up with your foot on the brake, it just has the typical Toyota chime. It just says ready in the instrument panel. There's no engine that comes to life. And everything in here in terms of the infotainment system and the tech has also been upgraded. Now, in terms of the materials, let's talk about that really quick. This Woodland trim has a soft touch injection molded plastic here on this upper door panel. You have some Softex here, which also has that interesting pattern from the seats carried over here. Nice padded armrest here where you'd rest your elbows. The window controls are one touch up down for all four. They're also at a really nice high position, which I like. Mirror controls are here. No power folding mirrors. Sadly, Toyota doesn't offer that on any trim. And then down in the lower portion here, you can see it's all hard touch plastic. Sadly, this trim also does not offer the JBL premium sound system. That's only available on the Limited and the XSE trim. So keep that in mind. If you're an audiophile, you only just have a 6-speaker standard audio system. The steering wheel, you can see, it's pretty similar to the other trims, but you do have some orange accents here for the third spoke. You can see you have the camera there that watches your face for the Toyota Safety Sense 4.0. You have a telescoping wheel, which offers a lot of adjustability, so you can get a comfortable driving position, which is nice. The dashboard, as you can see, is the same cheap hard touch plastic scratchy material here on the upper portion. It's a gray matte finish plastic here. It is slightly padded here, or this is the same Softex from the door panels carried over onto the dash here. It's hard touch plastic here. And then all trims, even the base LE has the 12-inch digital instrument cluster, which is customizable, which looks good. There's no head-up display available on this trim. And then the Woodland only comes with the smaller 10.5-inch display. So as you can see, that's the smaller head unit, which it's a big upgrade from the base unit from the previous generation, which only offered an 8-inch display. There's also a bigger 12.9, but it's not available here on the Woodland. You can see it has their latest Toyota Audio Multimedia Interface 2.0, which runs off of their new Arene software. Which it's showcasing, Toyota's improvements here, where you have much improved graphics. You have a customizable home screen, which is a nice touch. And then it also has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Now, for some reason, my phone is not connected, but let me see if I can tell it to connect. Sometimes it'll connect automatically. This is an early pre-production model, but you can see with the CarPlay pulled up, it's a little different from the 12.9-inch display, where it offered 3 different levels or 3 different rows of icons. In the 10.5, you just have 2 different rows. The icons are still big and they're easy to navigate. You can also expand it to get rid of the native bar that's off to the left side of the screen. But you can see it's very quick and snappy and responsive. There's also a little charge status button here where you can adjust how much you want the charge limit to be. It'll also find charging stations for you. Going to the display here, you can also adjust your different settings. So this is pretty similar to the original system, but at the same time, they've made some improvements. The GPS quality also has gone up. They've improved the map display and resolution, but it's still nothing super special. Most of the times, you're probably just going to go to your phone, you're going to pull up Google Maps, and you can have Google Maps kind of right there in the screen. So this is kind of what people are looking for nowadays anyways. I like the fact that there's still a volume knob. You have dual zone climate control that's automatic as standard. Just 2-level heated seats along with 1-level heated steering wheel, as you can see. And you also have a traditional air vent here. You have some buttons here that almost look like dials. Remember, the old model had a dial for the volume and the tuning, but they've just gone to the buttons here. Trail mode is technically not unique to this trim, but it's going to adjust the all-wheel drive system to give you more slippage when you're off-roading. There's a snow mode, and then your drive modes here. There's basically 4 different modes, including a custom. There's also a dedicated normal button here. I'm not sure why this is even necessary. There's also an auto EV HV button where you can adjust the vehicle and tell it to go into hybrid or EV mode or a charge mode. And you can see the Woodland also includes the quicker USB-C charging ports that are 45 watts, a nice rubberized, textured material here. And then if I push this, you can see it gives you your full 360 camera, which also gives you a perimeter scan. This is a much improved screen and quality resolution from the old system, and you can also kind of do a pinch and zoom. I haven't seen the 360 camera though. On the smaller 10.5-inch display, you can see it still works, which is a great touch, but it does look better on the bigger 12.9. When I put the vehicle into reverse, you can see it still gives you your backup camera, which includes trajectory, cross-traffic braking, all that good stuff. So it's nice to see that the plug-in hybrid Woodland gives you the 360 camera. You're gonna need that when you're off-roading. Now also, there's a chunky shifter here for the eCVT. The Woodland and the GR Sport have this shifter, electronic parking brake, and then you can see nice flat black or flat gray plastic here, which is much more durable, doesn't show fingerprints and smudges. You can also pull this up if you need to expand the car or the cup holders and clean out some sticky mess. You can see more orange trim here. This is a padded center console, which you can open up to the driver or on the passenger side. And if you push both the buttons, you can flip it over and create like a hard table here if you would prefer to do so. The one thing I don't like about this system, it's a little finicky when you get it on there, and then when you actually just have it on one latch, you can see it's kind of flimsy. So I have a feeling that's the way it's just designed to be, because you'd have that ability to switch out the lid and flip it over. I mentioned earlier, these seats are comfortable and supportive. They just don't have as much bolstering, which is fine. This is supposed to be more of a comfort-oriented vehicle. I just wish that the Woodland trim had cooled seats. That's a feature that I think a lot of people would appreciate. The glove box, you can see, is damped but not lined with felt. It's a bin style. It pairs nicely with the shelf storage that you have here. There's just a traditional manual day and night rearview mirror here, along with this traditional sunroof, which has a retractable manual shade. The Woodland does not offer a pano roof, but at least the sunroof is standard, which is a nice touch if you guys prefer a moonroof option. So overall, the interior of the Woodland is not too different from the other trim levels of the RAV4. I really like the orange accents, and the 10.5-inch display is also fine. I just want this car to offer cooled seats, and a memory function for the driver, and also the availability of a different color for the interior. But this mineral is a good combination with the Evergreen exterior. But let's go ahead and show you guys what the back seat is like on this trim. As you can see, that mineral Softex carries over here where it still has the two-tone look. These seats, they offer the ability to fold down to create almost that flat load floor, which is nice. And you also have the ability to kind of recline the seat too. Sadly, this seat doesn't move forward or back, but in terms of legroom, I'll get back here and show you guys what that space is like. You can this is my driving position at 5'7". There's 37.8 inches of legroom according to Toyota. Not a flat floor here in the middle for the passenger, however, but you do have rear seat air vents, 2 USB-C charging ports. No heated seats on this trim. You can get that on the limited trim. You do have 2 storage cubbies, and then even this lower grade trim does have soft touch injection molded plastic here with more of that Softex with the textured look, along with your one touch up down for the mirror controls. The sunroof does, as you can see, take up some headroom space in this portion, but then it has a little carve out here. I have a solid maybe 4 or 5 inches of additional clearance. So that's a nice touch. And then you can see there's an armrest that folds down, gives you 2 cup holders. So the Woodland still very much excels as a family vehicle. Just remember, some competitors like the new CR-V, for example, does offer a couple inches more rear seat legroom. So here we are behind the wheel of the 2026 RAV4 Woodland. And of course, because this is the more off-road oriented version, we are starting out the driving scene here off-road. Now, I will admit, the off-roading that Toyota has set up for this car is nothing super challenging, but at the same time, this dirt road that we're on has some rocks, it has some ruts, it also has some mud because Arizona was hit with some pretty terrible thunderstorms yesterday, so the road's a lot wetter. Remember, we are in the desert, but surprisingly, we're going to encounter some mud out here. But this model, of course, with its unique suspension, 8.5 inches of ground clearance, I have the drive mode in its trail setting here, which I guess the other trims offer a trail mode as well, although I guess Toyota's made some software changes to it. Really, what you're noticing are the tires on this vehicle. They just provide the added grip that you are looking for. As we go through kind of mud pit there, we're kicking up some mud, and you can feel the car wants to step out a little bit. Remember, the all-wheel drive system in this vehicle is just essentially the rear axle is powered by that electric motor. And what you also notice is the car itself just feels very playful. There's a lot of play in the steering, but at the same time, the traction control does let the car slide out just a bit as you kind of go around some corners. The suspension does a great job at just soaking up the bumps. The all-wheel drive system keeps you going, but I just wouldn't want to go through any treacherous off-roading where there's actually some rocks or ruts that you have to go through. Rob wants me to drive through some of these puddles as we kick up some water. That's pretty fun. I feel bad for the guy that has to clean this car though later.
Just hit the fucking camera.
Whoops. The no rain sensing wipers on this model here, at least I don't think, but Other than that, you know, that kind of off-roading, I suspect, is probably the kind of off-roading that Toyota expects most customers to do. You're just going to go down, you know, an off-road trail a little further off the beaten path. We're coming out to a little changeover here. I'm going to have Rob stop or pull out or get out and grab the camera that was on the ceiling or on the roof.
We'll cut it here, obviously. Thank you for remembering. Also, never ever on camera ever again say we're gonna have Rob pull out.
Yes, I'll say that. But now that we've switched to on-road driving, this is arguably where most Woodland RAV4 owners are probably going to drive this vehicle. So let's talk a little bit about the driving dynamics here in terms of the characteristics. Now, these all-terrain tires will add a little bit more noise to the cabin because, again, they have a chunkier tread to them. You have that extra 0.4 inches of ground clearance, which in theory should help this vehicle clear obstacles a little bit more. I'm sad that there are no skid plates, but here out on the road, the car feels very similar to other versions of the RAV, aside from, again, these all-terrain tires, which add noise. They have a little bit less grip. But what's also interesting about the Woodland is this model is the heaviest version of the RAV4 with the plug-in hybrid powertrain, because remember, you have that CCS combo port adding the weight, the sunroof is adding the weight. This vehicle also has the tow hitch standard at the back. So I really like how this car just kind of soaks up the bumps, and because of the all-terrain tires, you're not going to be fearful of hitting a pothole like you would on a model that has the 20-inch alloy wheels, for example. The acceleration, when it's in hybrid mode, is very quick. This car has plenty of power. It also has a lot less noise versus the hybrid-only powertrain, and that's because we have that much stronger electric motor, which I'll try doing a 0 to 60 in pure EV mode at some point later on. But what I want to try out is this 0 to 60 here in just the gas only, or in the hybrid mode, because this is where you're going to get the full 324 horsepower. To get the best time, we're going to take it out of trail mode. I'm going to put it into its sport setting here. We're going to put the transmission in sport. And I'm going to also turn off the traction control, and to do that you have to push and hold it for a while until it shuts everything off, and we'll go ahead and we'll brake torque it. Feels pretty strong off the line. All right, 5.57 seconds there, so that's actually pretty quick, especially when you're looking at the rest of the compact SUV class. Remember, this class is not known for having fast vehicles. Now, I want to actually take it out of its hybrid mode here. Actually, we won't be able to. Sadly, it says EV mode unavailable, battery low. So we'll just put our foot down again. It's not the most pleasant sound, but it sounds a lot quieter versus the hybrid-only version of this powertrain, because you have the 203 horsepower or 201 horsepower supplementing the 183 that you get from just the gas-only version of the car. When you put the transmission out of the sport mode, because there's technically a sport mode in the transmission and a sport mode in the actual drivetrain, this car is a really easy car to drive. The ride quality is smooth. You hear a little bit more tire noise coming through with these all-terrain tires, but the visibility is also really easy. There's a nice little puddle here we're gonna drive right through, which was kind of lame. It looked like a way worse puddle from far away. In terms of visibility, I can see out of the front and the side easily. The view out of the back is perfect because of that really upright rear windshield. No auto-dimming rearview mirror or digital camera mirror, but this car essentially just drives like all the other versions of the RAV4, just a little bit noisier with the all-terrain tires. But at the same time, I like the seats in this model. They don't have as much aggressive bolstering, but they still are comfortable and supportive. The RAV4 seats, I think, got better with this generation. I mean, the old one I already thought had really good seats. This one just feels like it's, you know, modeled after your favorite living room chair. There's a little bit more wind noise that I'm hearing from those roof rails, so kind of keep that in mind. The Woodland is going to be the least refined version of the RAV4 platform, but it also is going to give you slightly more capability. It begs the question, though, do you even need to buy the Woodland trim? You could just buy basically a set of all-terrain tires and just get a model with the smaller 18-inch wheels and kind of get a similar effect. Although there are some unique styling elements for this vehicle, it's really going to depend on the price for this model. In terms of the fuel efficiency, I won't be able to test that out here on this very short drive. This model is designed to get 45 in the city, 34 on the highway, something like that, or 42 in the city, 34 on the highway. So it's not the most fuel efficient version, but at the same time, it's a little bit more fuel efficient than the GR Sport. It looks like the trip computer here is showing an average of 29.3, but the car only has like 348 miles on it, so we'll have to wait until we get one back home to test for a full week to try that out. As we get out onto the highway here, I'm gonna put my foot down and see how does the traction you can feel the front slipping a little bit more versus the rear, because remember, all the power from the engine is coming to the front wheels. The rear axle is only powered by that separate electric motor, but overall, this is still plenty fast. I mean, if you guys are comparing this to the CR-V Trail Sport, for example, or the Hyundai Tucson, which offers the X-Pro from the Kia Sportage as well, there's definitely a lot to like about this car from an acceleration standpoint, from a refinement standpoint. The smaller screen also, even though it is smaller, still gets the job done nicely. And I like this. I like the fact that the Woodland finally feels even more upscale than the earlier renditions, which kind of felt a little bit too cheap. But overall, if you plan to drive your RAV4 more in off-road conditions where you want to go further off the beaten trail, the Woodland could be worth a look, but it also, begs the question of whether you should just buy a lower trim and just add your own set of all-terrain tires. So I'm just spending the full day here driving the brand new 2026 Toyota RAV4 Woodland. I have to say, if you guys are looking for a new compact family SUV with a little bit more extra capability, this Woodland trim should satisfy what you're looking for, because think about Toyota's heritage here with off-road ready vehicles. The look of this car very much reminds me of the current generation Toyota 4Runner, but there's a lot of things about the 4Runner that make it a little bit more of a challenge if you plan to just use it as a family vehicle. The ride can still be a little bit trucky, it's really expensive, and the vehicle itself isn't very fuel efficient. So this RAV4 Woodland essentially tries to tame a lot of the issues that you might have with a less refined body-on-frame vehicle like the 4Runner. The on-road performance, as you guys saw, aside from the chunky all-terrain tires adding noise, still delivers a very car-like driving demeanor. 0 to 60 we got in the mid 5-second range, which is plenty fast. I mean, this makes it one of the quickest accelerating vehicles in the compact mainstream SUV space. The ride quality is also smooth and comfortable, especially when you have these chunkier all-terrain tires. They just do a great job at smoothing out the ride quality. Unfortunately, if you guys are thinking this vehicle will have the off-road performance of like a 4Runner, this is where you have to manage your expectations, because we still only have around 8.5 inches of ground clearance, no protective underbody skid plates, but I have to say, the all-wheel drive system in this vehicle works pretty well in most conditions, aside from, doing some serious off-roading, because remember, the rear electric motor only delivers around 90 pound-feet of torque. So it's not a lot of power if you guys need to actually use, the rear axle to get you out of a sticky situation, but at the same time, it should have enough to kind of deal with most of the kind of terrain I think Woodland owners are going to go with. The electric-only driving portion of the plug-in hybrid powertrain is also an unexpected bonus. 0 to 60 in around 9 seconds for the EV. In EV-only mode is really impressive, and it's also a quieter vehicle to drive thanks to the fact that you have that much more powerful electric motor. Now, in terms of the interior, I don't like how the Woodland doesn't offer ventilated seats. It has the slightly smaller screen, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's still a really easy car to live with.
Hi.
Oh, hi.
You get to film the second take now. The second take. You're not. Yes, I am.
That's fine. Sorry about that. So now that our friend Ryan has stopped distracting us, let's get back to the conclusion of this vehicle. Now, I mentioned the screen. I wish it was a little bit larger, but for most people, I think it should work. Really what it's going to come down to is the pricing of the Woodland trim, because if you want to get your hands on this trim level of the RAV, you can basically start buying the hybrid-only version by December, so you're going to have to wait a couple more months. However, the plug-in hybrid has been delayed until the early part of 2026. I'm going to say sometime in early spring, perhaps, and we don't know final pricing just yet. The base RAV4 LE with front-wheel drive, which also comes as a hybrid, Toyota is promising a starting price in the low $30,000 range. However, the current generation Woodland is around $36,000 to start, which is kind of based off of an XLE trim. It's kind of similar to the way this new version is, but Toyota is introducing much better tech. It's got a bigger screen, it's got a sunroof, and it also has a Softex interior as opposed to a cloth when the Woodland first came out. Now, the plug-in hybrid powertrain, we have no idea what that powertrain is going to cost. I would estimate probably at least $8,000 to $10,000 more for the plug-in. So basically a current Woodland is around $39,000 fully loaded. I would say this model with the hybrid powertrain is probably going to start at just under $40,000. When you add the plug-in hybrid powertrain here, I wouldn't be surprised to see this model have roughly a $50,000 price tag when you get it equipped like this, which begs the question, has Toyota priced this vehicle too high, especially if you want the plug-in hybrid model? I think that it is a good value, and also keep in mind the CR-V Trail Sport, which also comes as a hybrid, which is standard on this, is also around $40,000. So really, if you want an off-road capable version, Toyota makes it from the factory, or you could also just buy a core model and just put some all-terrain tires on it. But at the same time, I do like the overall package that Toyota has given us here. I think it's a better job versus some of its other rivals, which also are now offering off-road oriented version of a car-like crossover. With all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2026 Toyota RAV4 Woodland with the plug-in hybrid powertrain. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.